Hello, this isn't normally some of the content that I do, but I've been really enjoying Star Wars Unlimited recently, and their third set is coming out, Twilight of the Republic, centered around the Clone Wars, and nearly all of the cards have been released, so I have thrown together what I think is a really good Anakin deck. It is Anakin Green. If you don't know what Anakin does, in his leader slot, as an action, you can tap him and deal 2 damage to your own base, and then attack with a unit, and if it's attacking another unit, it gets +2/+0 on the attack. So, identity-wise, Anakin is very control-y. He wants to control the board, so a lot of people think Anakin Blue is really good, and it does seem really good. Because you have access to restore and you have access to a lot of removal in blue, but I think green is really where he shines. Anakin flips on 6 and he gets +1 damage for every 5 damage on your base. He gets +1 power for every 5 damage on your base. So if you deploy him and your base has 20 damage on it, he deploys at 8/7, which I think is very strong. I think Anakin is a very strong leader. I think green is really the aspect that goes along with him best. I've tried red, I've tried yellow, I've tried blue, but I've really been sticking with green. Green has access to some Overwhelm units. It has access to the new Hu Yang unit. I'll go over my choices in the deck. Firstly, precision fire. Most of the units that you have are troopers, so they benefit from precision fire. They get the +2/+0 on attack, and they get saboteur, so it really helps you trade. It really helps you trade against shielded units. It helps you move around sentinels to attack units that they're protecting, things that might buff units like Veers, things like that. Smuggler's Aid. I think Smuggler's Aid is a must-have if you're going to constantly be damaging your own base in order to control the board, because you will be doing that a lot in this deck. It's a nice auto resource, so every time you see it in hand, unless you're trying to heal twice, I would suggest resourcing it. What I mean by healing twice is if one is already in your resource bar, you can use that one, and then use a second one from your hand for cheap. So 3 to smuggle, 1 to use from hand. It comes in handy sometimes, but 3 is necessary in my opinion. Now, your starting hand, your turn 1 plays, very viable, very flexible. Soldier of the 501st, he is 113 with raid 1. When you're playing Anakin, you should really think of the power as +2 to whatever they have. So I think of the Soldier of the 501st to be a 133 with raid 1, so he swings for 4. It's just good. He's tanky enough to live against some other turn 1 plays like R2s or I'm blanking. It's a something Pathfinder. It's a 2/2/3 Heroism Saboteur. Things like that. Survives against Sabine unit. That's a big one. Battlefield Marine 2/3/3. It's just the best statted nothing burger unit. I don't think it should have the stats that it has, but it does, so I'm gonna use it. 3 copies of Anakin's Interceptor. 2/2/3, and then gains conditional +2 when you have 15 or more damage on your base, which you should have every game, since you will be using Anakin action quite a bit. The Loyalist, it's a 2/2/3 with Overwhelm. Overwhelm units are your best friend. in this. One of the big reasons why I run green is you have access to things like Commander Cody, which give your other units Overwhelm, so you will be swinging for additional damage to gain board control while still hitting their base, which I think is perfect. The star of the show, I think, is probably my favorite, the Advanced Recon Commando, a 3/4/3 with Overwhelm. Again, since you're playing Anakin, try to think of it as like an additional +2. So he's swinging for 6, takes out all of the aggro leaders on their deploy. Hu Yang, another really good one. 3/2/4, tanky enough to trade into units. And he has the Jedi tag, so it goes directly into the General's Blade, which is a really good upgrade. I think 3 of is necessary. I don't have a lot of Jedis in this deck. I think Shak Ti plays too slow at 4. I think she just dies a lot of the time. Same goes for Anakin. I see a lot of other people building Anakin in their decks. 5/6/6, a really good stat line. But you cannot really run ECL in Anakin leader. Since you will be damaging your base a lot, you kind of need that extra 5 to play around with. Because your sweet spot is around 20 damage on your base, because then he'll again deploy at 8/7, which is a ridiculous stat line. So with General's Blade, it's a 3/3/3 upgrade, so it would make someone like Hu Yang 5/7, and then on attack, the next unit you play costs 2 less if it's attached to a Jedi unit, and Hu Yang is a Jedi. So I can play Hu Yang at 3 resources, buff another unit like the Loyalist, making the Loyalist a 4/5, and then I can tap Anakin to swing the Loyalist for 6 damage Overwhelm on turn 2. Seems a little broken to me. I have drop in, a couple copies of drop in, mostly to proc things like Commander Cody's coordinate. It comes in handy sometimes. I'm trying to play around with it. A big one is the Phase 2 Clone Trooper. 3 cost, 3/2 ambush. It's a pretty versatile tool in terms of board control. Resolute is also an amazing unit. 10 cost, 8/8. Seems really expensive. Since you're damaging your own base, it ends up not being too expensive. It loses 1 cost for every 5 damage on your base, and like I said, 20 damage is that sweet spot, so 20 is minus 4 cost, so it ends up being a 6 cost 8/8 capital ship. And then if you have General's Blade on either Hu Yang or on Anakin, Anakin deploys at 6, you put it on Anakin, you swing with Anakin, and now Resolute costs 4. It goes down to 6 from the 20 damage on base. You swing with a Jedi unit, General's Blade. The next unit you play costs an additional 2 less. So it would go down from 6 to 4. So a 4 cost 8/8 capital ship. When played, you can deal 2 damage to an enemy unit and every other enemy unit that shares the name with it. So when played and on attack, you can do that. I have Bravado in there since you're going to be trading units anyways. You will be able to get, you'll be able to benefit from the cost reduction since you will have defeated an enemy unit. I've tested a few other decks. Like I said, I've tested other aspects. I think green really is where he shines. If you have a pretty lackluster space control, that's where Strike True comes in handy, since you have the Advanced Recon Commando at 4 power. 4 power really kills a lot of space units, and if not, you have Inspiring Mentor. Again, you're trading into units, so even if it's an equal trade where both units end up dying, if it has Inspiring Mentor on it, you get the on attack and when defeated XP, so you get an even trade and +2 XP spread however you would like. Some other units, Mace Windu. I'm just happy to be able to play Mace Windu. He's been out since set 1, haven't really found a place for him. He's mostly played when I've swung with General's Blade, so he's a 5 cost, 5/7 ambush that readies when he defeats a unit. Aura Singh I put in as a test against aggro. Again, a unit that's played at 5 if I've swung with Hu Yang that has a General Saber or General's Blade on. So it would be a 5 cost 7/6 that readies whenever an enemy ground unit attacks your base, which is exactly what aggro wants to do. So I think it's a really nice counter. Let's get right into testing this out. So we'll get into a match against Sabine Green. This Sabine Green won, I believe, at Planetary Qualifiers in Pasadena. So this is like a tried and true tested deck. This is, believe it or not, this is a mulligan. If I were to play it out, I would resource probably Bravado and Smuggler's Aid. Smuggler's Aid is a resource 9 times out of 10. You would think you have a pretty strong start here, but it doesn't really transition well into the mid to late game without Hu Yang or without a Saber or anything like that. I will mulligan. Be careful though, because it can always get worse. And there it is. It is much better. We still have the same play. We have Anakin's Interceptor, and we have Strike True. Those are really good tools for us to start the game off. Since we're against Sabine, it's kind of coin flip. They can either play an A-Wing or they can play Sabine. So it's up to you which you think they'll play. I think they'll play Sabine or another Battlefield Marine. Initiative is very, very important. You want to be able to get rid of as many of their actions as possible. Double Bravado is a really bad draw. So what I'll do is I'll trade. So I've used an action to trade, and now they can't swing with a unit, so she'll be forced to either tap her leader or deploy a unit. So we'll do an even trade, and then she'll play for a cause. We have to be careful. We've seen the Dark Saber, which means Dark Saber is coming out on Sabine deploy. So we want to have a ground unit ready to kill Sabine on her deploy. Something that is pretty scary is I believe we are going to get ECL'd. This is going to die. Pretty much for sure. You can never really tell with the AI though. So what I'm doing is I'm stalling out actions. I'm not swinging with my readied unit so she can deploy, because she's going to want to play the Dark Saber. So I will tap Anakin, deal 2 to my base. This gains 2 damage. He now deals 6 damage to Sabine, meaning I deal 1 to base and I only take 2 back. I'll go ahead and take initiative here. In terms of resourcing, I think what I want to keep is these 2. I want to keep these 2 for Anakin deploy. Strike True to get rid of a possible Sentinel. I don't think Sabine Green runs any Sentinels, but I'll use it to kill a unit and then swing base. And since I killed a unit, I can use my remaining 3 to play Bravado. And then re-ready Anakin to attack with him again. I think we'll focus on getting some more space control. I believe a wing leader will be coming out soon. What I'm gonna do here is I am going to tap, deal 2 to my base, because now that Sabine is dead, the big threat is over. So now this sounds really silly, but I want to start racking damage up on my base. I want to start racking damage up so that Anakin deploys in a stronger state. Now I could have easily done an even trade here, but instead I will do a positive trade by swinging with the Loyalist. And then I was maybe thinking that they were going to ambush K2 into either one of these, but that didn't happen. I'm just gonna swing on the base now that I have pretty decent control. I won't be able to kill the A-Wing because they've already tapped Anakin out. So I'll just deploy and deploy. Darksaber on R2. That's definitely a play. Not something I would have really expected. I'll just take initiative. Okay, this is another really strong play. Is Hu Yang on Anakin for Anakin's deploy. Let me move my head so you guys can read it. When played, choose another friendly unit. While this unit is in play, the chosen friendly unit gets +2/+2. Very strong. Very strong. I'm just going to resource the Loyalist here. I think I'm gonna stick with my original plan of strike true bravado. What we're gonna do now is we're just gonna play the swing on each other's base game, and we've kept up pretty well considering. Them playing Wrecker right then and there is actually, believe it or not, really good, because now they're tapped out and I can just stall actions by swinging on him. You know, I'm actually gonna swing on the A-Wing so that they only have 2 actions left. Now that everything's tapped out and ground, I can deploy very safely. I get +5 because I have over 25 damage on my base. I'll just deal 9 to end the game, so I can't even do any of the combos that I was talking about. But they're there. It seems really stressful because you're playing a pretty tight game, but it's not actually that bad. Okay, that's what I mean, where it's playing pretty close to pretty tight. This seems like a good hand. I'm gonna resource Smuggler's Aid, and this is where you choose. I'll just resource Orsang, so I have Mace Windu readied. I'll start in space this time, for the sake of being different. They're going to tap, and I'm just going to claim. They didn't have a turn 1. That never feels good when you're playing Sabine, when you're playing any aggro deck, really. Oh, and then their turn 2 is for a cause, double Darksaber and K2. Okay, those are the big ones that you gotta worry about. That's a little scary, I will not lie. We have caught up because they're for a cause, only hit 2 damage since they have double Darksaber. Now, this is a little spooky. A little spooky. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna resource Moment of Glory so I can use these 2. See that this is where AI the AI just needs to be worked on. Because I have 3 damage ready, right? She obviously wants to play Darksaber. But I can tap, deal 2 to my base, and then swing for 5. And it's a positive trade because Sabine only does the 2. And then you're going to ECL, which makes sense. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Inspiring Mentor on. And then I'm going to play the Republic Tactical Officer so I can attack with a unit. It doesn't have Overwhelm, but I do want to get rid of K2 at any cost. So I'm just going to swing into K2, trading. I'll get the on attack, give it to the Interceptor, and then I'll get the win defeat. I'll trigger my own first, and also give it to the Interceptor. So now it's a 4/5 unit, and it'll get an additional +2 once I'm at 15 damage on my base. Or an additional +2 right now when I play Hu Yang. Which I believe I'll do. Let's play Hu Yang. Give it another +2. And this is a really cool, really interesting position. So what I'm going to do is tap Anakin. Normally, it only gets +2 when you're attacking a unit. But since me tapping will deal 2 to my base, that makes me in the threshold for Anakin's Interceptor being an additional +2. While your base has 15 or more damage on it, this unit gets +2/+0. So I will attack by tapping, dealing 2 to my base. This now gets an additional 2, so it swings for 8. A really interesting position. So that's really scary. I'm just gonna claim because I have 1 damage ready. And then I'm gonna swing for 8 and end the game. And there we have it. This one was different than the first game in terms of how I played it, and it was still really strong. I would really recommend taking a look at this. I have some different variations that play around different types of synergies, but I really think this is very fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is not something that I normally do, but I'm really enjoying this game. I'm really enjoying the card game. I'm probably going to do some pack openings and box openings. I'll leave a link to the deck down in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Bye bye.